CMO turned productivity coach, trainer, and speaker. I built the systems, tools, and templates that I needed to manage my life as a busy CMO. And now I share everything that I've learned and created. I coach and train busy professionals on how to be more productive, have more confidence, have less guilt, and ultimately get back control of their time. And I'm excited about this. I am on a mission to help busy professionals fight burnout by helping them get more done so that they can love what they do and still have time for the people that they love. And my company is called So Productive, which is to be so productive, but also it is my initials, which sometimes takes a second. So like to mention that.
Very creative. Tyrone, you're next, my friend.
Hey everybody, my name is Tyrone Robinson, and I'm the owner of Opportunities to Serve, LLC, an international business consulting company. For the last 7 years, I've been helping entrepreneurs start businesses and business owners fix and save and/or scale and grow their businesses through 3 primary offerings. Operations consulting and services with a focus on people, processes, and systems and technology. Business strategy consulting with a focus on differentiation and website building.
Great, thank you. Lori.
Hey, so my name is Lori Poinsett. I am from Poinsett Consulting. I manage business transformation. So I help clients get out of a situation where they're not happy, not being productive, or not as efficient as they'd like to be, and get over to a place where they can be more efficient, whether it's staffing model changes, process development, tools and systems implementation. I also do business coaching for those people who are kind of in transition or, maybe a little stuck, if you will. So I focus a lot on process and a lot on transition and change.
Great. And last and certainly not least,
Behave yourself.
Ashley Owens, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley Owens. I'm a networking concierge. Thank you again, Ryan, for having me on this today. I'm actually really excited to hear from Sarah, Lori, and Tyrone about productivity. But when it comes to networking, my job is to train individuals and sales teams and associations how to network virtually. With that comes a lot of productivity tools, not to the extreme that Sarah, Lori, and Tyrone are going to be talking about today, but more of how to make your network more efficient by using different tech tools. So I'm super pumped to make sure to make everybody feel that they don't have to make networking a full-time job, because that's my job, but to be able to be more efficient. So I'm super excited. So thank you for having me today.
All right. Thanks, guys. All right. So, I think one of the things and one of the reasons we kind of wanted to set up this call here was because, it's kind of, it's not only is it a weird time, but it's a different time for a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of us that are out and about all the time. I mean, for me, I was probably in front of the computer about 10 hours a week. At the most, and now I'm in front of the computer 40 hours a week, and it's like, how do you stay productive with everything that you're doing? And I think what you're seeing a lot too is that you're seeing a lot of like small business owners that are dealing with like, how do I continue to grow the business wearing multiple hats and kind of stay like not be overwhelmed. And Tyrone, I think this is kind of where you really shine. So like, what have you seen that's really worked well for like people that maybe wear jack of all trades and that wear multiple hats and then say, okay, how do I not work 90-hour weeks and actually be able to get done all the work I need to?
Sure. So I guess the first thing I would say is you must first get clear on the work that needs to be done for the business to succeed. That way, being clear about which hat you'll be wearing at any given time, or figuring out which positions need to be created to be able to do the work if you're not able to fulfill the hat is kind of the first thing. So in my process, I map out with people literally all the things that will require their executive functioning or focus, figure out what's involved from the people, the systems, the tools, and then outline opportunities to bring other people in where applicable. So, wearing too many hats is a product of, in most cases, poor processes and systems being in place, meaning there's always an opportunity to figure it out at a level that allows you to be in control versus running behind tasks, activities, and other responsibilities. As people, a lot of things can and do slip through the cracks if you're not able to be on top of things. So, utilizing things like checklists, task lists, anything really to take your mind or put your attention on capitalizing on the time that you do have with the people that you are attempting to give it to or spend it with.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the main things that people lose focus in is systems and processes is important. But part of that too is understanding the culture of the company being part of that as well. And uh, Lori, Sarah, Ashley, do you guys want to comment on any of that?
Culture is really important. If you don't understand what the company is trying to do, what their objectives are, and how they've been performing, whether they've been keeping to their culture or straying from it, you probably won't be effective at changing their process. Their culture is, anti-change and kind of subverting their mission, and no one's fixing their culture. You're not going to be able to effective a change well.
Hmm. It does affect your systems because I feel like the only time you get spoken to is when something is incorrect. Makes people not want to stay in line with what the steps are to get things finished. Um, Sarah, you're nodding your head. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in that a lot of companies right now are talking about that they're just not sure what to do. Like they know that this isn't a great time and they might not be having the right procedures or policies, but they aren't sure how to handle it. And I think that's important too, is to be in a collaboration space with your employer, your employees, whatever side of that you're on, and working together to find ways to be more productive. This is new for everybody. And I think that that's important. As you talk about culture, this is a new, we are all navigating new cultural space here at work.
Get Ash. I know you got something.
So, I mean, coming from the perspective, it's a little bit different from the lovely panel that we have here today. I came from a corporate environment and now I'm on my own, right? So at some point there needs to be, you learn a lot about productivity and efficiency while you're at corporate because you're following, certain processes and procedures that were laid out. And then when you decide to build your own, venture, you have to build them for yourself. And so that comes like a whole other set of challenges because at the same time, now you have to motivate yourself to complete tasks or to build your own goals. And nobody's there to kind of give you a performance review, right? You're the one that's being and managing your own, your own expectations. And if sometimes, depending if you're trading value for money or time for money, you don't really know what the value is yet. And if you don't work, you don't make money. So there's a different level of culture in general is so important, but yeah, in business or in corporate, and then when you have to do it yourself, it's a whole other mindset that you have to shift. So the productivity comes, I think, personally from my own experience, came from trying a lot of stuff, ripping that Band-Aid off, and then figuring out what worked and what didn't work. Because you don't have a manager to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
You've got people like in this group to be able to brainstorm, but culture personally and professionally is so important. So I'm glad everyone kind of brought that up.
Yeah, one of the things I've been saying too is, we're in this weird world where like a new currency has been created, right? So like accountability is the new currency. It really is. And, I think we're in an area where it's like micromanagement is just not the way to deal. And I think you're going to get more work out of your employees because they're at home all day. So, if you're going to throw in a load of laundry for an hour and maybe clean up the house, maybe you're going to work till 7:30 and not realize it and be like, I have to get done. And it's crazy to think about that because now that we're like in this environment, it's, how do you make people not sleep till 10 o'clock in the morning? And be like, oh, well, I'll just sleep till 10 and then I'll work till 8. I mean, one of the things that we do that's really great is that, since March, we've had 8:30 a.m. morning meetings every morning. And honestly, it's made us closer together as a company because we see each other every day now. Like, I was on the road all the time. Like I was in the offices like on Monday and then pretty much Tuesday through Friday, I'm just on the road. And now I see my team like every day and I'm more in the loop on what everybody's doing. They're more in the loop what I'm doing. It's great to see that. And it makes people have to get out of bed, really, honestly, because I hear people that are like, oh yeah, I got up at like 10:30 today because whatever. And I'll just work till 11. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you got to still have some sort of a routine to kind of get it moving. But, part of it too is being home all the time. It's a little distracting at points, right? So like, my thing is like, how do you stay, motivated and not be distracted all the time? And Sarah, I think this is somewhere where you kind of shine. So give us a little insight. on
Sure.
what you think.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my puppy's outside barking a little bit. So sorry. Speaking of distractions, but it really leads me to the first point is about having a dedicated workspace, right? Which I do, and I have set a boundary for myself. My door is shut. He knows, or he should know, that I'm working now. But there's really two keys to this, and the key is about being dedicated. So one is to signal to yourself that it's time for you to work and having that physical space, and the other is to signal to those or the pets around you that it's time for you to work. And I think that that's so critical. So having a space, not everybody has a dedicated office in their home. But even like a corner, a section of a table, a space that you can put a partition up, but you really need that dedicated space. And then eliminating what's distracting you. You shouldn't be half watching TV while you're trying to write a blog post, or making lunch, or your kids know that they can interrupt you. And I think that that's where people get tripped up. They're sitting at the kitchen counter going, I'm not getting anything done. Well, yeah, you're sitting in the hub of your home
Yeah.
expecting like that things are going to be different. So I think that, that dedicated space is important, and also signaling to yourself that it's time to work. I'm eliminating things from my physical space that are a distraction to me. So that's really the first part. And then setting boundaries is of course important. And you brought it up, like having a start and end time, I think is really, really important for people.
Yeah.
Because just because you're working in your house, it doesn't mean that you need to be working and doing home and doing family all the time. It's like, have a work time and then have a dedicated time to be with your family.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is being able to leave, right? I think it's one of those things where it's like I was like working in my living room when I had my apartment, and we just moved. So I actually have an office, and it's like such a difference since I have like an actual place. But like I had literally like a stand-up desk, like a stand-up table, and then I would close the table up and be like, and now I'm in my living room again. Now like I can actually like, okay, I'm done. I leave my room and I'm out. And I know Tyrone shines in this stuff. So give us some insight, Tyrone. I see you shaking your head.
Cool, man. I think within this conversation, there's an opportunity for any business owner to recognize the work that will need to be done for the business to thrive and grow, as one of those things that you're building KPIs or metrics beyond or through. So in order to be successful, business owners must find a way to put the work of their business into context so that they truly understand the business and all the things that need to happen in order for it to work the way it's supposed to. All businesses that thrive and grow to maturity must take into consideration the tactical work, or what happens in the business day to day and what it involves. And then the other piece of that is the strategic work, or what shapes the tactical work, meaning it's the work that is done on the business and involves things like planning, forecasting, and the like. So the strategic work shapes the business processes and provides the purpose behind every action that is taken, and is the kind of work that is most often overlooked and neglected in small businesses. So, what I'm saying is, there is a true opportunity to figure out what you're doing in order to better categorize and take opportunities to just build your business every day, and be as productive and efficient as possible, just through realizing what actually has to be done.
Yeah. And I think part of that too is understanding as a boss that you can't take everything on your plate as once too. I mean, there's a reason that they call it the C-suite. Right now, obviously not everybody has a C-suite, but you definitely have people that are working with you. And that is to get that, to do it right, you have to not be afraid to give some of the work up to other people so that you're not stuck working, 90-hour weeks. But Ash, we're talking about something with like Alexa and stuff like that. Remember with the yeah, tell me a little about this, kid.
Yeah, so I can't say the words that's in my office, but when you use your robots in your home or your apartment, and Sarah, like, and Lori and Tyrone, please let me know if you've ever tried this, because I'm gonna try it today. I saw something online where you time your lights that are attached to your robot, and turn it off when you're ready to, like, when you need to shut down, right? So maybe it's at 6 o'clock, maybe it's at 7, just to remind you, like, okay, it's time for you to settle down, or to put a reminder for you to get up and walk, for you to drink some water, just to like have it in your head, or like start playing really obnoxious music. This is what I'm thinking of what I'm going to do to myself. Obnoxious music to get you out of the room and like walk around. Just something to help, like, however you take direction or make decisions, find a way to have it in your face to remind you to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
But
nothing better than I would walk 500 miles. You're like, all right, time to get up. This is ridiculous.
I need to leave the room now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Lori, I know you want to jump into. Go ahead, please.
Sure. You mentioned something about being really distracted by being at home. I've been working from home for years, actually. And my initial transition into working from home while everyone else was working in some sort of physical dwelling was, it was definitely challenging for me. So I feel like I'm kind of ahead of the curve that most of other people are experiencing due to COVID. But one of the things for me that was particularly helpful was to have a morning routine that I kept very consistent. So, being in my home environment, you have the dirty laundry, like you mentioned, you have, the dirty dishes in the sink, you have the responsibilities, and maybe your partner is not home with you. So you're kind of like the home care person. So I've personally created a routine for me that I feel in my head like I have to get done in order to start my workday. And I allot 20 minutes in the morning and I say, okay, these things have to get done before I can clear my mind and say home is packed up and done for the day. And now I'm going to focus on my business stuff. And then I have my coffee break in the afternoon, and I might do one other thing like from the washer to the dryer. And then in the evening, my day is done, I'll fold my laundry. So I kind of have like set things that I do on a daily basis just to kind of keep my house running smooth. And I say, okay, this is the minimum I have to get done. The rest will just have to wait. So it's kind of like setting that balance between what is something that you have to do and the rest is kind of like, okay, it'll be nice, but it's not urgent, right?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and this kind of goes off kind of like what Ashley was talking about earlier too. Like, I think that because of this, you're seeing tech kind of evolve faster than everybody expected, right? I mean, I think the majority of us saw like in that 3-month period, we went about 12 years into the future, this is all stuff that we've all been like, hey, I can just work from home. Like, trust me, I'm working, like we can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But now with that going on, I think there's a way more stuff that's helping us stay productive. And, I think there's a lot of tools out there that people are developing. And I know, Lori, this is kind of where you shine. Like, so what have you seen kind of in the world of like, productivity tools and different elements that people were bringing into like their daily routine to stay productive?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Ashley brought up a really good point. You can definitely use things like your Alexa, your Echo right at home, like just to say, hey, it's time to start work in 15 minutes, or like build a morning routine. I love my Alexa. I say, good morning, Alexa, or Alexa, good morning. And she like spits out the weather. She spits out, what my calendar is going to be. And then she plays my favorite song to get me in a great mood. And, I have like specific reminders, like a 3:00 thing I have to do every day, so you can absolutely use something like that, in a nice soft way. You can create your own little routine for yourself, but there's so many tools out there. It depends on the kind of industry that you're in. One of my personal favorite tools is called OneNote. If you've never used it, I can't stress enough to try it. It actually has a job letter plugin into Outlook. If you take any kind of notes from your meetings, even if it's just for yourself, you want to like follow up your actions.
Yep.
You can go right into OneNote and put tags and tasks. So it contributes a task right into your task list in Outlook. So you like have it right there in front of your face. And it can also assign to other people. So if maybe you have, your spouse and you're controlling something for the house or a peer at work, you can email the page with to-dos and it goes right there. It goes right to your email. It goes right into your Outlook task list. And you can even plug from the calendar. You can even take like attendance in there if you're really into taking notes for the meeting. It's a very savvy tool, and you can create your own specialized tags on there so that, they can be personal or they can be business or they can be by a specific project or a follow-up to do. And then you can search by that specific tag. So it doesn't matter if you have that same tag on 10 pages or just one. You can search just by that tag or just by that word in your keynotes. You can have a notebook for personal. You can have a notebook for business, even one for your kids, one per child. It is a way to get rid of like all the scraps of paper.
I know. Can I tell you, that was me. I had I mean, I had a couple pictures I threw on LinkedIn in the beginning days, and it was like, look at this crazy amount of craziness that I need to do. And I switched over to Evernote, which is kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And can I tell you, it like changed my life. Like I'm taking
Yeah.
live notes during meetings.
Yes.
I'm keeping notes that are just things that I maybe need to do, right? For events like this, I've got points that I want to hit that I've got all typed out and
Right.
everything looks good. And
Right.
then I'll do things where when I have to make introductions, I literally have a whole thing of intros that I'm dealing with people with. And
Right.
I have a checkbox system. So it's like an arrow pointing and the person is like, they're going to make an introduction for me. And then if it's just their name under there, then I'm going to make an introduction for them. And there's just something satisfying having a little checkbox that I can click once I make
Yep.
that introduction. You're like, that's right, made that one. That feels so good, you know. And so I know, and this is good for you too, Ash. So like, so being a solo person, what are you using to stay? What tools are you using to keep yourself
I just want to
productive?
make it clear. Who taught you Evernote? Who taught you how to do that?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the internet.
Just want to put it out there. No, I think Ryan, you hit it on the head. I use a bunch of different tools to really maximize nurturing a network, right? Because since I talk to about 8 to 10 people a day, like new people a day, part of my process, it's not always my trash brain and my productivity brain don't always remember, even put tasks assigned to different contacts to all of those people, right? That's a lot of people a week. So I have a process in place where everyone gets a touch point at some point, whether I connect with them on LinkedIn, share their post, but my efficiency as far as keeping top of mind has really been done by using a tool called Zapier. And Zapier has an email integration that allows me to send an email from my email. So it looks like it's coming from my email with some kind of value add. So for example, when I get a chance to have an introduction phone call with somebody new, I use Calendly. Calendly is the tool that makes me the most efficient out of everything if you take anything from this conversation, Calendly is the most important tool to use.
I'm going to
Why?
jump in for 1 second.
Yeah.
Calendly absolutely changed my life. I've been using Calendly since we met maybe like 2 years ago and talked about it. And once I integrated that, maybe it was like 2.5 years ago, I was done with this.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Tyrone, do you want to meet Tuesday between 12 and 3 or Thursday between 3 and 6 or next Monday? And I'm like, here you go. Here's 9 options and different ways that we can meet together. Pick one that makes sense. And like, I'll just be like hanging out. And all of a sudden it's like, boing, you have a new meeting on your calendar. It is the greatest. And then I integrate all that data into a database that goes to my constant contact through Zapier. It's the best.
There's a lot of, and again, both Ryan and I would be happy to talk to anybody about this because we both have a similar process. But with Calendly too, just to kind of show you efficiency and help you with your trash brain, if you put in, so when you create the account and you ask questions right within the account, like first name, last name, phone number, how do we connect, and what would you like to talk about? Keep it simple. Don't take 15 minutes for someone to fill out a form to chat with you. You pull that data every quarter. And then you find out who your power partners are. Like if Steve Goodman is passing over 14 people over the course of 6 months, and because it's so separated like within weeks and like you get busy with other things and you forget, it now shows you like, oh my gosh, you need to spend more time with Steve Goodman, because obviously everybody should spend time with Steve Goodman, but it allows you to recognize who is giving you those introductions, and then you can say thank you, take them out to lunch, or even have an hour phone call and say, hey man, thank you for the 4 introductions. This is what it turned out to be. How can I help you even further? Right.
Mhm.
So it allows you to stay in touch with people in a way that's more efficient, and also see where your intros are coming from, or your leads, not even leads, but your network is coming from. If you think your newsletter is pushing out a bunch of people and putting them on your calendar, probably not. It's probably coming from somebody like Ryan or somebody like Justin or someone like Sarah. Just use that as an efficient way to put where your time is the most important. Right. If these groups are, pushing out wonderful connections and collaboration opportunities, Calendly will be able to track that by pulling that data.
Yep.
That's the most efficient tool that I use on a daily basis. And
It's
also
the
for my
best.
consultants out there too, you can schedule time for like hour-long coaching sessions, and you can also put in, you can also get paid for it too, right from there as well. So it has a payment processing part. So
they've done a nice job over like the last couple of years, just continuing to add to Calendly, and like it's $10 a month. Like you can't touch it, and if it's the free version lets you do one appointment. I have, like I said, I have like 9 or 10, but it's the best. Sarah, I know you got some insight too. Please enlighten
Oh
us.
yeah, I love a good productivity tool. Of course. I think what's important though is that you should have a process down. And I know Tyrone talks a lot about that too. Like process is very important. The tool should just support the process that you have. And I think sometimes people get caught up in these tools, like what tool should I use? And like the tool isn't the life changer. You are actually developing a process and the tool is supporting you. So that's my soapbox for this morning about tools. But two tools that I do love are Asana and Todoist, both of which I can dictate into my phone. So I'm a creative. I think of new things all the time. My mind is always going. And so what I like to do is just dictate right from my phone into those apps. And then I can, just keep track of these ideas that I have. Because one of the big things I like to tell people is you can have all these ideas, but that doesn't mean you have to do all of those things. And so often we get an idea and think, well, now I have to do that this afternoon. And that's not really the case, but it's a nice place to keep track of all these ideas that you have that you might want to revisit at a later date. So dictating from the phone into these apps is really great.
And Tyrone, you got shouted out, so enlighten us.
No, this was some familiar tools that I'm aware of. For me personally in my business, I use very little tools other than the notes in the Apple iPhone. To be honest, that's probably it. For me, it's all about paper and pen still. I jot down a daily to-do list, a daily checklist. I do recommend some people to automate that or put that into some kind of software or tools, as we're calling it right now. But for me, it's really helpful to have things that are tangible. I won't read a book physically. I'll only read digitally now, but there's still some parts that I do like to actually like touch. And so my day to day, instead of relying on softwares and tools, I rely on how I feel. And I'm really good about scheduling. So for me, I guess instead of Calendly, I use Acuity. Rave about it the same way you all do about Calendly, as far as how it helps me remain productive. But just last night I blocked out 2 weeks of time so that I can have the time to do and work on all the projects that I have in a comfortable way, right? And that allows me not only to be in charge of my calendar, but also understand what my expectations are per block time. So for me, again, the notes and Acuity would be my top 2 software solutions or tools. But again, I can't really exercise it enough. The checklist for me, or the daily to-do list agenda is everything. I know when my day is done based on my checklist or to-do list. I create categories with a minimum to-do list. I create categories with a maybe, it would be good to get to kind of thing. A work on the business kind of category as well. So yeah, that's it for me as far as tools that I personally use in my business.
Nice, thanks. Hey, so Kevin, what do you got? We got some audience participation here, which I love. Please.
Hey, hey guys, Kevin Duduke here. Just wanted to share something with you. I got this in the mail this morning from Amazon. I just discovered this. It's called Rocketbook. I don't know if you guys can see. It's a little notebook here. And basically what you can do is you can write down notes, and it has an app feature here for the old school folks like Tyrone and myself who use pen and paper quite often still. You can write down notes and use your phone and scan them into the cloud. So actually the application itself can hook up to your Google Drive, your Apple iPhone, and any of the cloud services, so that you can, if you still like to write things down, you can use it that way too. So it's kind of neat. They also have an app. They also have a feature where you can use a whiteboard, and they have these little triangles that you can put in a square, and you can take pictures of things that you draw on a whiteboard and send it to yourself also. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, Larry, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I sell them. So in my business. So if anybody's interested, let me know.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much. All right, and I got to say this, we have all this time that's going on there, and just to go off of what Tyrone said too, one of the things that I've been doing just to stay productive too is, I've actually been like blocking out like either full days or half days on my calendar just so nobody can book anything, just so I can get done admin work, because it's just been so crazy busy, and the fact that everybody is so readily available all the time, it's easy just to accept stuff. And then of course, because I can't say no to stuff, I'm then like booking meetings on the days that I've blocked out to do emails with, and I've always got 200 emails in my inbox. But that's something that's done really well too, is just kind of blocking some of that time off to do it. And I think with everything that's going on and how real crazy it is, it's still important to kind of stay engaged and like stay top of mind and stay close with your network, right? And I think that's what I see a lot is, part of that, like Lori talked about, part of that daily routine, like, taking some time in the morning and just hitting your feed on LinkedIn or whatever your ability is. Maybe, I'm actually looking forward to this because I found like, the way that I love life is a nice fat stack of cards on my desk, which I desperately miss. So that's starting to come back a little bit. So, Ash, I know this is kind of where you kind of shine. So you give us a little insight, kind of like how you're, staying, on top of everything that needs to get done, but then also, staying relevant and engaged with the people that could possibly bring you more business.
Right. So, sorry about my cat. He wants second breakfast. Apologize. So what I like to do again, because the amount of people, and Ryan, you can attest to this, like I have to block a week off sometimes because we say yes to everything. We talk to everyone. Nobody's not having a meeting. And there's only so much bandwidth you have in a day. And I've got stuff to work on. I've got projects and I've got, things like that. What I do to continue to give value to my network, which allows me to stay top of mind, is using Zapier. And the reason why I do that is because when someone jumps on a call with me, because we talked about Calendly, within 24 hours, they get an email from me that says, thank you so much. It was a great conversation we had. By the way, here are some networking tools, tips, and tricks. That's free. Go ahead. This is yours. Merry Christmas. Right? It's a value add. Then a couple days later, they get an email saying, hey, what did you think of it? I would love your feedback and I would love some edits if you'd like a particular topic to talk about. That gives me feedback. That helps me grow the content. Then a couple days later, they also get an email that says, here are some business tools and resources, which is a hidden page on my website. That is all of the tools that we've actually talked about. Evernote, Calendly, all of the tools that I use on a daily basis as just a reference, right? I'm not selling anything. A couple days later, if I've spoken to them on the phone, I invite them to come on to Connect to Success, which is the TV show that I have on RBN TV. Again, that's a value add. I do not get paid for that. That's the way that I celebrate my network. And then a few days later, after that, I send them an email. Again, using Zapier, it's only 5 emails over the course of a few weeks that says, hey, thank you so much for your support the last few weeks. I would love your feedback on this networking audit or this subscription service that I have, right? Not asking, right? So it's about 5 emails of value before I even ask for anything, which is, again, just feedback. But I'm also on LinkedIn asking, how can I share your event on my newsletter? How can I share your event on my page? How can I, who's a good introduction for you? But every call that I make, or every call that I take, I make probably about 3 introductions each. The reason why is because I'm giving value in a way, because my trash brain will forget this person in a week, not like, forget, but just be like on to the next thing. So when I'm on a phone call, I'm very hyper focused on that one person. What do you need? Let me get it in my notebook. I will get you these introductions. I will get you these resources.
It might take a little time, but you're on my list. That's for me too.
Right. I usually within a week, I'll get you the introductions, but productivity wise, Fridays are my days to fire off emails, or Sunday nights. So if y'all get an email like 2 in the morning, it's because I'm up. But the way to stay top of mind is literally just to give value. You do not ask for anything to your point, Ryan, you had mentioned like 10 gives before an ask. Right? That was your line. I love it. I'm going to use it more often. That's kind of where you want to be. But every person you talk to, every single person that you have the pleasure and the privilege to talk to, how can you provide value in some way?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you build networking equity, which then comes back twofold.
Yeah, I mean, I have many mantras in my world, and one of the big ones I do, and I'm sure a lot of you heard me say it, is I live my life by the crock pot mentality, right? Low and slow. That's the name of the game. It really is, and helping everybody out and just staying relevant. I mean, staying for top of mind through social media is great, but as Ashley said, when you're in those meetings, I don't even sell what we sell. I just say, how can I help you? And it's not one of these things where it's like, oh, look at me. It's like, I literally love helping people. Like, I love connecting people. Like, it's just fun because my
Yeah.
network is vast. Because eventually what happens is down the line, when someone goes, hey, we got to do marketing, and they don't even think about anybody else because we're here and we're always doing things to help them grow their business. Like, literally love to keep everyone connected. But Lori, I see you shaking your head. So what's your kind of way you're staying on top of and engaged, and it's just one last thing, it's crazy how many people that I have not met in real life. Like, I'm finally meeting a handful of people, and I'll go to like a couple random events where people were doing outdoor stuff, and I'm like, hey, I don't think we've actually ever met, like physically. This is insane. So
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, right? Absolutely, especially now because people are connecting more through Zooms like this than ever.
yeah, so what are some of the things you guys are doing to stay connected with your network and just staying top of mind? Like, have you been seeing a lot more of intros coming your way and vice versa?
Yes. So one of the things that I started taking up was going through some of my networking tools, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are the two I mainly use. Um, and going through and saying, when was the last time I touched this person? Like, how
Great,
long has it been
great
since I,
job. Yep.
just really doing, not old school, but, really trying to make sure that I have worked my own personal existing network, because honestly, that's where your referrals are going to come from.
Hmm.
So I try to go through and say, when was the last time I touched this person? If I haven't talked to them in a few years or even, 6 or more months, like, it's time, especially now, especially with everything going on.
Yep.
When I literally block off time on my calendar, 3 hours a week usually, to try and, like, 1 hour I'll use, like, to kind of go and just find a couple people to touch base with. And then the other two, I'll like try and do a couple 30-minute calls, like, how are you? How's the family? What's going on? Where are you? Can I help you in any way? And just
Exactly.
kind of keep open lines of communication. And I've been doing that for, quite a few months actually.
It's great, and again, I sound like a broken record with this, but like, the people that jump on those calls and that are hard selling, like, they just don't understand the name of the game. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, what's going on? Just so you know, internet productivity is up 300%, and we can help you grow your business by creating ads. Let's get it in. What's your budget look like? You have, and people are like, whoa, 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 dude, like, what's up? What's your name? What's your name? Like, I'm not going to be here and be like, hey, guess what I got? I got the phone book 3 days before everybody else. I'm going to murder these phones. Here we go. Like, those days are gone. People like, and I could do that. I could be a transaction sales guy all day, but I would have no relationships involved in any of those transactions. And as soon as they got a better deal with somebody else, they'd be gone. So, and Sarah, I know you know a lot about this too. So
Yeah.
please.
Well, I love what Ashley said. And actually, when I was on Ashley's show, we talked a lot about this and just being in the spirit of helping other people. And I like what Ashley said about when you're with someone, you're focused on them. You're not trying to think of all the other distractions, back to distractions, and being in the moment with the person that you are speaking with at that given time. I think that's really important, and spending a little time just to help other people. And you never know what's gonna come from that. I heard a really good thing called help one person every day, and I love that. So I'm trying to do that
Oh, that's
myself.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of just keeping people top of mind. And if it makes sense, even if you haven't talked to them, somebody in a very long time, you just go, oh, you just need to know this person. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of it too is, I'm not here to sell your, what you do. It's more of like, oh, you guys should just know each other because they know a lot of people too. And it's good for other people to know other people because it's all that friend of a friend mentality. It really is. And Tyrone does a great job of this too. So I want to hear your insight too, Tyrone, please.
Sure. So, as far as networking goes, I try to keep myself involved in at least, let's just call it 7 to 9 groups throughout the week. And what that allows me to do is just stay at the top of mind for, business referrals, but also building relationships. Oftentimes, I'll share with my networks that I am available to chat about any of their needs or concerns or roadblocks that they're running into in their own business. And it's really just an opportunity to help build the network around me so that we can have more business together and make more referrals together. So for me, showing up to networking groups is just a show of support and solidarity with the people that I'm growing my business with, but it's also an opportunity to, again, maintain at the top of the mind of everyone who is, out on their day-to-day building business. For me, I do measure my attendance in each of these opportunities, meaning there is an actual number that I keep to suggest that I need to be there. It's not always a financial number or ROI, but there are a number of things that I'm always measuring about how and where I'm spending my time. So every year you may recognize me for a number of membership groups and paid associations, but it may not be the same way every year with me. And it's not because, I have an issue or, I'm not getting or doing business in a lot of these cases. It's just that these opportunities haven't risen to the level that would suggest that I need to be there as frequently as maybe I was prior. So for me, everything is about analytics and data. All of my decisions are based on those things as far as, again, how I spend my time versus doing the things that can actually bring income or deliverables to a customer. So I know we're always thinking about, that time that we can work on those deliverables that keep our businesses together. But I'm really looking at quantifying every single keystroke in my business, honestly, to be able to suggest that, today me shooting down Delaware makes sense because of that. Yep. Right. And in this case, I'm also looking at how I feel as far as the pandemic too, right? So it's not just the normal business KPIs. I'm also saying to myself, if I do go somewhere, what is the risk and reward? Who am I making this commitment to and why? What's the benefit to me in the business versus anything that could come up as a result of making this decision in my business? So again, for me, it's just all data, and where I spend my time and how much of it is just based on that.
Yeah, and, I think part of that too is, the name of the game is staying top of mind, right? And having people automatically think of you. But then it's good to have that list of people that are always top of mind for you, right? So like I'm always looking for keywords. So like as soon as you say stats and data, I go to AJ all day. AJ's my data and stats guy all day. And if I can get him involved with somebody that makes sense, it's just they're the guys to go to. And it's just who is staying in that realm. And like, obviously we've all got financial advisors and CPAs and insurance people all day, but like who are those people in that you're gonna make that introduction to for them and that are not going to even talk about insurance? They just want to talk about
jump
how
in
they
real
grow
quick.
Together. Please.
Let me jump right back in. So along those lines, what I've been sharing with some of the folks in our networks is that in my business, I actually encourage everyone that I work with to start working on a resource and connections list. So within the first 30 days of us doing business, I've given them an audit prior to payment and starting services, which allows me to understand the categories of people and needs that the business has on day one. And then within that, again, when we begin working together, I asked people to create a resource list of any people, products, and services that they'll need. Because for a business owner to be able to figure out who the best of what is can take a good amount of time, understanding that they probably don't have a ton of time to be doing that. So it not only allows me to add value while adding value through my products and services, but it allows me to bring more people in from my network. So, like I said, I'm shooting out to Delaware after this call. In the first 30 days, that woman requested 20 plus services. And so, she went down, the line. She says, "Hey, I need a vehicle wrapped." I said, "Perfect. I work with a client who does that." She says, "Hey, I need commercial bonding." I said, "Perfect. I have someone in my network who does that." Yep. Literally A through Z, I'm able to pass off the opportunity to the person that I'm working with to tell me who they need versus having to say or suggest who they need.
Yep.
You know, so maybe figuring out how to pass the buck back to the client gets you more opportunities to pass opportunities to your network.
Yeah, that's truth, and I deal with that a lot. And then there's always those people who are like, "Well, man, if you give us referrals, I can pay you money," and I'm like, "I don't want your money. Like, get out of here. Like, now I don't want to give you business because now you're trying to pay me for leads. Like, no, I'm gonna throw things to you, and then if it makes sense, and I hear this all the time, people are like, "Oh man, you give me leads here, and then I don't have any leads back for you," and it's like, yeah, but keep me in mind of other things that are going on. Like, hey, let's go golf together, or hey, maybe there's an event that I'm not part of that I don't know about, or maybe there's people that I don't know from a different area that you can integrate me to, and now I can go do LinkedIn training courses for that this chapter of somewhere up in North Jersey where I don't know anybody, or maybe I can go international like Ashley and go to Ireland or something, or whatever she's doing over there. But I think that's a lot of it too. So
there's a way to tactically do that though, with just to kind of complement what Tyrone was saying. Like, there's a way that if you're top of mind, to also connect your network with your network, right? So when I train my clients, and as I create something like a tier 1 and a tier 2 list, I grabbed all of the industry names on LinkedIn. Just like grabbed all the names. There's a website you can grab all of like the industry names that are associated on LinkedIn. Then I went through and top of mind, who's in this title, who's first that comes to mind. That's your tier 1. That's your ride or die, right? Those are your people that you could text right now and say, answer the phone call from a number you don't recognize, trust me, right? Yep. Your tier 2 is like, oh, you know what? Goddamn, Bob does this. I forgot he specialized in that. That's like, not like they're not the tier 1. They just forgot that they specialize in the one thing. If you want to get even deeper, you go to the about page of their business, look under specialties, copy and paste, put it into a column. And then when you're on the phone with somebody new and your trash brain can't remember that Bob does cloud services, Control F, and then you can be like, oh, boop, boop, boop. Oh, by the way, telecommunications also does these 14 things. This allows you to be very efficient with the introductions that you're making because you will have trash brain. But for your tier 1, those are your people. That's your army. Who do you want as your sergeant? Who do you want as your general? Who do you want as your soldiers? Which means that you have to put out a ton more than they give out to you. So if you're building an army, these people will advocate for you when you're not in the room. That's what you want. Right? But to tactically do it, tier 1, tier 2, but like make it work for you. Then if you work with them for a long period of time and they happen to have a referral agreement, great, no problem. If they don't, but you still like them, cool, no big deal. You're welcome to do that. It's a nice to have, not a need. You're not a salesperson to what Ryan was talking about. You're not responsible to sell them anything. To help get leads. What you're responsible for is helping to build up your network for collaboration purposes. Yep. So that's how you tactically do it.
And if I could just comment on that last part too, I think part of it too is understanding that it's also okay for you to ask for those people as well that you're making introductions for. But also, and I know we've all heard this 1,000 times, like you have to stay away from things of, I'm agnostic. I can work with everyone and anyone. Like, it's just, you're not going to stay relevant on my radar. Like, for me, I always pick 3 or 4 industries, and literally since March, I've only said those 4 things. And that is all I've said. And because of that, I've gotten so many more referrals and people that have stayed relevant because they think, oh, esports and video games. Oh, that's right. Harb does video game stuff. Like, let's bring it over to him. Or, hey, we know we do good with, specialized healthcare and food packaging and processing. Like, that's what I do. And that's where we've stayed relevant with it. And it makes a way big difference than, oh, well, I can work with everybody, any size, small to large to mid-sized businesses and anywhere.
Shut up, Chad.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Shut up, Chad.
It's ridiculous. And I hear it all the time. And it's like, that doesn't help me out. Like, I understand what you do, but like, who do you want to know? Good, Sarah, you're not, give me.
Sorry, I'm just yelling.
Yeah. I love Ashley. She always brightens my day. What I was going to say was that people want to help and they want to know how to help. So also it's really important if you are going to ask for help to be specific and call out a certain person. If I group chat everyone right now and said, I need some help, everyone else in this chat is going to think that the other person is going to help me and nobody's going to help me. But if I say, Ryan, by tomorrow, I need dinner made for me tomorrow, you're going to do it because it will make you feel special. You're going to know how to help and you're going to be able to deliver on that. And I think we in this time, especially, we can't be afraid to ask for help either. And help is different than selling. But I think that's a kind of a cool way to think about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
People want to help. They really do.
They do. And I think it's okay to ask, right? And, I'm not the greatest with huge prospect lists, 150 people and companies that I'm going after, but I've always got like 3 or 4, companies or whales that would be great for us. And, I kind of started integrating those into my conversations a little bit here and there. And people get excited. And then some people go, I have no idea what that company is, or I have no idea who works there or anything like that. So it's just staying part of it. So, all right. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left. So I'm going to open up to the floor. If anybody has any comments or just wants to put their 2 cents in, and then we'll shut it down at 10 o'clock. So go ahead, Marie.
I have 2 cents to put in. So I think that when we first started in March and a lot of companies went remote, it was, everyone was in a temporary state of mind. This will only last a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And now it's October, almost November. I think that companies have done well with remote teams and done well with, adjusting to working from home. But I do think that, leadership at this point is so important, and it's really important whether it's about ourselves, understanding our how we need to operate now, or our clients, or, understanding that this really isn't a temporary state that you're just getting by in. You have to make it happen, whether it's from a productivity standpoint or an innovation standpoint now. So I think that, that transition to a temporary state of mind to a, how do I make this be, the way, the platform and the situation, the structure that I can use to succeed in is really important.
That's great. I mean, one of the many things I always say, adapt or die. That is the name of the game. And if you're not if you haven't adapted, you're going to get left in the dust. People that are still trying to figure out how to Zoom, and I hear that every once in a while still, which is like mind blowing. I mean, I would rather hear, I don't know how to Zoom than you're on mute, you're muted, you're muted.
And then you get speakers who don't know how to share a screen. This is your only job. Your only job. Sorry, I get very upset.
This isn't Skype.
Yeah, right.
Go home, AJ. Go home.
We got the time for one more if anybody wants to chime in. All right.
You know what, Ryan, I just want to comment. Hi, everybody. You mentioned something about, we're in an adapt or die environment. And what's really interesting about what we do is a lot of times our traditional business, when you talk about consulting, Six Sigma processes, things like that, it was always about getting in a room, getting in front of people, having the whiteboard. And, with what's happened, we actually saw an acceleration to what we wanted to get to, which was this virtual platform. And I'll never forget back in January, February, I walked out of a meeting. We were with one of the CPA firms in the area, and they wanted us to work with their team that was kind of scattered across the US. And I said to my partner, Neil, I'm like, I wonder if these guys are going to be okay adapting to like maybe a virtual platform for this. And then what do you know, 2 months later, everybody's adapting to the virtual platform. So, it was mentioned earlier about how life has changed. And, I think in some positive ways, we've accelerated things that we all kind of wanted to have happen. We all know how to work. We're all professionals and we all know what we're doing. And just adapting to this platform and realizing, hey, you can still have meetings virtually, even if somebody, they might be wearing shorts with a button down, but that's fine. Who cares?
Just don't stand up.
You know what's up here with people. You don't necessarily care about anything else. So it's just, I just figured I'd throw that in. You talked about adapt or die. We've been seeing it. A lot of our clients are coming to us and being like, hey, what do we have to do to keep going? We want to keep our business going, and costs are all over the place right now, and just kind of help them get that focus. It's been good opportunities out there.
Great. Thanks for the insight. Appreciate it, AJ. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'm going to shut it down 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for being part of Irish Coffee Hour. Again, My name is Ryan Harbinson with ClearBridge Branding Agency. If we have not connected or we need to catch up, please let me know. Let's do that. Also, if you would like a copy of the insane chat that has been going on for the last hour, please let me know. Reach out. If you're on the my email through the calendar, I will send that to everybody as well. So everyone, please be safe, stay safe, and have a kick-ass week. Let's all do it. All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Appreciate it.
Everyone.
Bye.